Discover the incredible moment when a hidden millionaire surprised a receptionist after 10 years. The rain drummed relentlessly against the windows of Thompson and Associates, each drop a reminder of the storm brewing outside and within Sarah. For a decade, the 30-year-old receptionist had poured her soul into the law firm, her unwavering dedication unnoticed amidst the chaotic cadence of legal battles and looming deadlines. She balanced calls, clients, and files with a smile that was beginning to mask her frustration. While her mother had always told her that hard work pays off eventually, after years of toil, her dreams began to feel like whispers drowned out by the noise around her. That stormy evening, with thunder rumbling ominously in the distance, everything shifted. The firm faced a critical case hanging by a thread, created by an oversight that had left attorneys in a spiral of panic. Sarah watched the madness unfold with growing unease. Her instincts screamed to help, yet the prospect of being overlooked once again made her hesitate. What if she put everything on the line only to remain invisible, yet again? The tension twisted in her stomach, but as her colleagues shouted over one another, her resolve fortified. She knew she had to act. With an urgency fueled by desperation, Sarah dove into the fray, gathering information, making frantic calls, and reaching out to clients. Each interaction intensified her sense of purpose, but bitter disappointment gnawed at her, a bittersweet reminder that she might still fade back into the shadows. Just when the dust began to settle, when the chaos looked like it might calm, she realized her role was once again going unnoticed. The partners exchanged relieved looks, but not one uttered her name. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Sarah grabbed her bag and prepared to leave, an unexpected flicker caught her eye. Mr. Thompson, the firm's unassuming figurehead, observed from his office, his expression unreadable. The rain still poured relentlessly, and she couldn't shake the feeling that he had been watching her that entire evening. Was it admiration? Doubt? The conflicting emotions roiled within her, igniting both hope and fear. Did he see her? Did he understand her struggle? And then, just as she turned to leave, his voice sliced through the hum of the office surroundings. Sarah, could you come in for a moment? The request anchored her in place. Suddenly, the steady rhythm of the rain felt deafening, and her heart raced wildly. The weight of uncertainty crashed down on her. Was this her moment of recognition, or another mirage leading to disappointment? As she stepped into his office, she detected a tension that writhed in the air, stirring fears of inadequacy and longing for validation. Could she finally escape the role of an overlooked receptionist and step into something more? As the rain pelted the glass behind her, the stakes felt impossibly high. Here stood the crossroads where her dreams and insecurities collided. Would this man finally acknowledge her unyielding commitment? Or was this merely the calm before another storm of dashed hopes? The answers hung in the balance, and for Sarah, the journey was only just beginning. The door clicked shut behind Sarah, and her heart pounded in her chest, creating a rhythm that mirrored the relentless rain. Mr. Thompson, leaning slightly over his desk, examined her with an intense scrutiny she had never experienced before. He gestured to the chair across from him, an invitation that felt heavy with expectation. As she settled into the seat, a wave of anxiety washed over her. This was the moment she had been unconsciously yearning for, yet here it was, veiled in uncertainty. Sarah, he began, his voice steady but oddly somber, I've been meaning to discuss your contributions to the firm. She held her breath, feeling both hopeful and vulnerable. The words he spoke next would either validate the 10 years of quiet effort or dissolve into the familiar echoes of dismissal. The case last week, the way you stepped in to help, it didn't go unnoticed. This was it. The tipping point she had always believed she needed. Your ability to coordinate and support our team when they were in disarray was impressive. You have skills that are immensely valuable. A flicker of pride ignited within her, but it battled fiercely against doubt. I just did what needed to be done, she stammered, uncertain whether to fully embrace or deflect the praise. Precisely, he said, leaning forward, his eyes brightening. But just doing what needs to be done isn't enough. I've been observing you for some time now, and I believe you are capable of much more than simply being a receptionist. Her breath caught again. The unassuming air of the office faded, replaced by an electric charge that brought into focus years of self-identity mingled with self-doubt. What did he mean by more? Could she be engaged in the legal work that fascinated her? The thought of being seen beyond her current role ignited an ember of ambition she had almost suppressed. I'd like to offer you the opportunity for advancement, he continued, his gaze unwavering. There's a project coming up where I believe your insight into client management would be beneficial. You'd be collaborating closely with junior associates, gaining first-hand exposure to legal processes and case strategies. She fought to suppress a surge of disbelief. The relentless grind of her past a whirlwind of missed opportunities and invisible labor turned in her mind. Are you sure? I mean, I'm just a receptionist. I don't have a law degree. Exactly. He exclaimed, surprising her. You've proven that understanding and communication are just as critical as technical expertise. Plus, you bring a fresh perspective that many of our lawyers might overlook. This was the offer of a lifetime, an invitation to break free from the confines of her past roles. Yet a familiar voice in her head cautioned her. What if she failed? What if she wasn't cut out for the world beyond the reception area? The flood of insecurities barricaded her confidence, urging her to retreat into safety. What happens if I can't keep up? She finally blurted, the weight of self-doubt spilling over. I've never been in a position like this before. Mr. Thompson remained calm, exuding steady confidence she desperately craved. That's why this is a project. It's a supportive environment, where everyone will have an opportunity to learn and adjust. It's about developing your skills, not proving them right away. It's time to step out of the shadows of the role you've known. In that moment, the storm outside felt less ominous, twisting into a new tempestuosity within her, a storm fueled by the unfamiliarity of potential. She felt so poised at the edge of change, almost daring to step forward and claim what had always been just out of reach. But the question lingered ominously in her mind. Was she prepared to leave behind her safety net? Mr. Thompson's eyes flickered with a challenging determination, igniting something inside her as she weighed her choices. Decisions loomed before her, thick with possibility, and she yearned to grasp the reins of her future. Would she rise, or retreat to the safe comforts of what she knew? It was a crossroads, rich with consequence. Take your time to think about it, he finally said, breaking through her spiraling thoughts. She nodded, an unexpected resolve beginning to solidify, yet the promise of the unknown loomed large. Sarah left his office clutching a scrap of paper with her thoughts scribbled down, a new position to ponder, a new identity to consider. The rain had ceased, but within her, the storm was only intensifying. With every step towards her own desk, she felt the weight of potential transformation. Would she dare to seize this new direction? Tomorrow would be significant, the decision awaited her. Would she have the courage to confront her fears, or would she let them dictate her path once more? As morning light filtered through the office window, Sarah found herself sitting at her reception desk, heart racing as her mind wrestled with the monumental decision ahead. Each ring of the phone reverberated like a judgment against her, pulling her deeper into contemplation. The weighty promise Mr. Thompson presented loomed over her, a tantalizing possibility that felt as thrilling as it did terrifying. Determined to push through her doubts, she allowed the fledgling flame of ambition to flicker amidst her usual insecurities. What if she could contribute to significant projects? What if those junior associates would not see her merely as the receptionist but as a vital part of the core team? Still, the voice of caution whispered incessantly, demanding to know if she truly had what it took to embrace this new role. During her routine tasks, she tried keeping her mind focused. Organizing files, scheduling meetings, it all felt mundane in light of what lay ahead. Yet, as each minute passed, she recognized a stark realization: she was already exercising skills that might translate into her potential new position. Her talent for communication, gleaned from years of interacting with clients, had been her underappreciated strength. She had a gift for making people feel heard, an invaluable skill for any organization to eye. In the quiet moments, a more profound urge began surfacing, a voice more resolute than her fears, the desire not just to fulfill her duties but to excel. The concept of growth began to form, and with it, a burgeoning sense of agency. She could take charge of her destiny rather than drift. The clock ticked, and with each passing hour, that sense of determination crystallized. Sarah noticed her colleagues had moments of interaction beyond her usual realm. Their discussions sparked interest, turbulence, but most importantly, learning. If she did not sequester herself to the role she had held for so long, perhaps she could immerse herself alongside them, soak up knowledge and navigate her way into the heart of complexity that was law. Just as she resigned herself to the next step in her potential journey, a shadow crossed her desk, jolting her from deep thought. It was Emily, a colleague she admired frequently but hardly conversed with. Emily looked hesitant. "Sarah, can we chat for a second?" The air instantly shifted with tension as Sarah nodded. The weight of Emily's expression sent a wave of suspicion through her, propelling her intuition into overdrive. "Have you spoken with Mr. Thompson?" Emily's voice trembled slightly. "It's just, there's a lot going around about this project." "Yes, he offered me a place on it." She felt both anxious and empowered uttering those words aloud now. Emily's gaze sharpened, an intensity laced with uncertain disbelief. "You need to know something. Some of the senior associates might not be as welcoming. They think you're not fit for higher tasks." The implications of Emily's words poured ice over her growing resolve, a visceral chill of both disappointment and anger. It opened a door deep within her, unearthing a dormant desire to prove herself. This wasn't just about stepping outside her established comfort zone, it was now about navigating the turbulent waters of office politics and expectations. "What if I fail?" she asked, her voice thick with a mixture of vulnerability and determination. Emily looked straight into her eyes. "What if you don't?" In that moment, a choice crystallized. Sarah yearned for a chance to transcend the constraints of how others perceived her. The notion of rising above the office's whispers both terrified and exhilarated her, beckoning her to confront not only perceptions but the life she had constructed. With newfound clarity, she resolved that fear would not anchor her. As she returned to her desk, the papers brazenly labeled with tips and strategies for the upcoming project felt less like barriers and more like opportunities. The storm inside was finally morphing into a driving force, illuminating the path ahead, but as she prepared mentally to embrace the shift, an alarming thought emerged: how would she confront the impending judgment of senior associates? Would they see her as an interloper or acknowledge her potential? The question hung unnaturally in the air, just as Mr. Thompson's anticipation had loomed the day before. That night, beneath the city's shimmering skyline, uncertainty twirled with anticipation, as Sarah contemplated her future. The decision awaited her, poised on the edge of action. Could she rise against the odds, or would fear master her once more? The next day would define her transition from safety to a battlefield of validation. Tomorrow was no longer simply about taking an opportunity. It was about transformation, and in the coming days, she would either break through or be broken by her surroundings. The hours flitted away, leaving her with a compelling question: would she wield her awakening confidence or allow self-doubt to snatch away this chance? The following day dawned with a weighty expectancy that clung to the air. As Sarah entered the office, a mixture of nervous adrenaline coursed through her veins. Every face she passed seemed scrutinizing, the whispered conversations she caught in snippets filled with implications she could not ignore. Ignoring the sense of dread creeping up her spine, she focused on her breath, reminding herself that today was not about them but about her. As she settled into her reception desk, her thoughts diverted to a plan she had quietly crafted overnight. The logistics were simple: approach the senior associates whose opinions mattered, initiate dialogues, and share insights on her view of the project. Information, after all, was power, and she was prepared to wield it. She reviewed her notes, highlighting key project details, brainstorming ideas that showcased her abilities. This wasn't merely about participating, it was her chance to shine. The clock ticked forward, intensifying her anticipation. Mr. Thompson approached, his demeanor as unfathomable as the day before. He greeted her with an encouraging smile, one that both comforted and intimidated her. "You ready for this?" he asked, his voice carrying the weight of expectation. "Yes," she replied, her voice steady, though her heart was still racing. There was power in simply claiming her readiness, and she could feel the energy shift subtly in the space around them. As they walked towards the conference room, Sarah took in the details of the office, reminding herself of her place within it. But today, she was determined to redefine that place. They approached the room where the senior associates congregated, the epicenter of her fears and ambitions. Her initial moment of hesitation vanished as she ran through her mental checklist again. Each interaction, each shared thought was a step toward her goal. Expectations would come, but so would opportunities to reshape perceptions. The atmosphere inside was electric. The senior associates exchanged ideas, their voices a blend of assurance and authority. Sarah remained at the threshold, her heart thundering in her chest. She drew a deep breath, reminding herself that she belonged in the conversation. After all, she had insights that could contribute meaningfully. As the discussion unfolded, she found her moment. A mention of potential barriers in project execution led her to interject with her perspective. I think if we consider how our clients might interpret these changes, we can preemptively address their concerns, she offered, her voice steadier than she felt. All eyes turned toward her, curiosity mingling with skepticism. The silence that followed felt like a scrutinizing spotlight. She could sense the senior associates weighing her words, dissecting the merit of her input. Rather than retreating, she stood tall, her pulse quickening as each second expanded. Finally, one of the senior associates, Jessica, whose presence had loomed large in Sarah's perception, spoke with a frown of concentration. Interesting point, Sarah, but how exactly would you suggest we approach that? This was it, a test of her resolve and ability to respond under pressure. I suggest we implement targeted focus groups with a select few clients to assess their reactions. This way, we won't be blindsided by feedback once we launch. It allows us to adjust our strategy ahead of time. To her surprise, the reaction was not dismissive. The murmur of consideration rippled through the group. With each positive nod, Sarah felt a rush of validation. This was the first step into her transformation, yet she could feel the significance of every second weighing heavily, a soft reminder that she was still fighting against the tide of skepticism. As the meeting progressed, she continued to contribute, her ideas gaining traction and respect from unexpected corners within the room. It felt surreal, yet empowering, an awakening of all that had been simmering beneath the surface. Just as the meeting began to wrap up, Mr. Thompson caught her eye and signaled to stay behind as her colleagues filed out. A mixture of apprehension and excitement bubbled within her. What awaited her now? I want to talk about your contributions today, he began, his tone serious yet infused with a hint of enthusiasm. She felt her breath hitch. Would he recognize her efforts, or would she be met with the abrupt dismissal that loomed in her mind? The moment stretched, fraught with possibilities. Whatever he revealed next could either launch her into the recognition she craved or leave her confronting the harsh reality of her aspirations against the unforgiving ground of reality. And amid the looming expectations of judgment and triumph, one question hung heavy in the air: would she earn her place as an indispensable part of this team, or would she forever remain tethered to a desk, a mere shadow of her potential? Sarah, you have the potential to influence this project in significant ways, Mr. Thompson finally said, his eyes locking onto hers with an intensity that both inspired and intimidated her. Your insights today were astute, especially the idea of focus groups. I hadn't considered that approach. How would you feel about taking the lead on that initiative? Her heart raced. Lead? The very idea sent shivers down her spine. This was a chance to shed the weight of doubt, to step beyond the role of a mere participant. Yet, alongside the excitement, fear laced through her thoughts. What if she stumbled? What if the others didn't respect her authority? Absolutely, I would love to lead that, she replied, steeling herself with determination. The words felt strange, yet empowering. A flicker of excitement replaced the hesitance that had clouded her earlier. Mr. Thompson offered a simple nod before continuing. I need you to not just conceptualize, but execute. You'll need to communicate with clients, conduct the groups, and report back with insights. It's a big responsibility, but I believe you can handle it. His faith felt like both a blessing and a burden. Thoughts raced through her mind: what if she failed? Every potential what if hung like a shadow, but now, she had to focus on the outcome. This was her opportunity to rise. Thank you for trusting me with this task, she said, feeling the weight of anticipation lifting slightly as her thoughts turned to logistics. She began mentally drafting a plan: who should be included, how to frame the discussions, and what insights she hoped to gather. As the conversation drew to a close, Mr. Thompson's gaze softened. "You found your voice today, Sarah. Don't lose it. I expect great things from you." With that, he left her at her desk with a wave that felt both like a challenge and a promise. She sat back in her chair, the world around her suddenly quieter. Her heart still thudded rhythmically, now with a familiar thrill of possibility. But with that excitement came a distinct knot of anxiety nestled in her stomach. Could she truly carry the weight of this responsibility? The senior associate's skepticism still echoed in her mind. Would they rally behind her leadership or undermine her efforts? Determination simmered just beneath her skin. She would not be silenced. The remainder of the day was spent in a whirlwind of activity. Each moment of doubt was met with a swirl of strategic ideas, her mind racing toward actionable goals. She sketched out timelines, drafted invitations for clients, and compiled potential interview questions. As each task became clearer, her vision sharpened. By the end of the day, Sarah felt a strange dichotomy within her. On the one hand, her confidence was subtly building, bolstered by Mr. Thompson's encouragement. On the other hand, self-doubt lurked in the corners of her mind, a constant reminder of her insecurities. Yet she recognized that every individual who had risen in their career had faced moments of trepidation. In her quiet moments that evening, Sarah reflected on what this opportunity meant. It wasn't just about leading a project, it was about reclaiming her narrative. This was a crucible moment, an essential chapter in her professional development where she could redefine herself and shake off years of anonymity. With a profound sense of purpose ignited, she fell into bed, her mind buzzing with possibilities for tomorrow. But just as she started to drift off, a nagging thought circled back: what if this spotlight revealed not just her potential but also her limitations? The next morning, a new path stretched before her, filled with ambiguity and promise. Yet, that nagging doubt lingered. Was she truly prepared to step fully into this role, or would she falter under the pressure? The looming presentation to the senior associates awaited, and internally, Sarah knew one thing: the time to confront her biggest fears had arrived. The day dawned with relentless anticipation. Sarah's heart mirrored the rhythm of her thoughts. She flipped through her notes with a fervor that belied her anxiety, each detail scrutinized in pursuit of clarity. This wasn't just another presentation, it was the first significant step into her professional potential. The clock on her desk ticked away, and with each second, a sense of urgency spread through her. After what felt like an eternity, it was time for the presentation. Sarah smoothed down her blouse, inhaling a steadying breath as she approached the conference room filled with executives. The air was thick with unspoken judgments. As she entered, silence fell, punctuated only by the clicking of pens and rustling paper from the senior associates. Mr. Thompson sat at the head of the table, his presence both reassuring and daunting. "Thank you for joining me," Sarah began, her voice resolute despite the tremor underlying her composure. She launched into her plan for the focus groups, outlining the rationale behind selecting participants and what insights could be harvested. The slide deck channeled her ideas, bursting with colors and concepts that she had meticulously crafted. She sensed skeptical glances from certain associates, particularly from Jenna, a formidable figure notorious for her sharp criticisms. Every glance felt like a spotlight, showcasing not only her proposals but also her vulnerabilities. As she spoke, Sarah fought the urge to glance down at her notes too often, instead aiming to establish eye contact and gauge reactions. It was better to face the discomfort than hide behind paper. Engaging clients directly through structured focus groups will yield invaluable feedback, Sarah asserted, her confidence mounting with each word. We need to understand their needs and experiences to drive our strategies effectively. But doubts bubbled within her. Was her approach compelling enough? Would they dismiss her as inexperienced? The presentation concluded, and stillness enveloped the room. It felt like an eternity until Mr. Thompson spoke. "Thank you, Sarah. I believe there is merit in your approach." The air shifted, and then the questions began picking apart her proposal. Jenna was unrelenting, questioning the logistics of participant recruitment. Each counterpoint ignited a fire within Sarah, pushing her to defend her ideas. "Jenna, I appreciate the concern," she replied, voice steady but heart racing. However, I've considered various channels for recruitment that align with our brand image while engaging true representation of our market. The dialogue became a dance of wills, each rebuttal sharp yet courteous, instilling a vitality within her that she hadn't realized she possessed. As her responses flowed, Sarah noticed a change in the atmosphere. The senior associates began to redirect their questions more constructively. They were no longer seeing her as merely the junior staffer but as a worthwhile contributor to the dialogue. A flicker of respect, once distant, began to emerge in their eyes. With the presentation wrapped up, Mr. Thompson thanked her again, and the meeting adjourned. The discussions had not gone flawlessly, but they had challenged Sarah to stand her ground, revealing a tenacity she hadn't fully recognized. As she left the room, adrenaline still coursing through her veins, a quiet thrill replaced her initial dread. She was learning how to navigate this world, confront critiques, and push back with confidence. Walking back to her desk, a new question settled in her mind: was this merely the beginning? The realization gnawed her that the moment she feared most, the unrelenting scrutiny, had transformed into an experience of empowerment. But before she could fully embrace this newfound resolve, an email notification chimed. It was from Jenna, requesting a one-on-one meeting to discuss further ideas she had about the focus groups. Suddenly, apprehension threaded its way back into her thoughts. Was this an opportunity to collaborate, or a chance to further dissect her initial ideas? The stakes felt higher now, and she knew she would need to prepare more than ever to solidify her position. In that moment, Sarah understood that she was at a pivotal juncture, not just in her project but in her career. The time had come to explore deeper challenges and unexpected alliances. The path forward was fraught with unknowns, but one thing was clear: she wouldn't shy away from the confrontation ahead. The real test awaited, and with it, the potential to surpass every limit she previously thought existed. Outside her office, the hum of the workplace swirled with the buzz of conversation and the clinking of coffee cups, but Sarah felt a stark contrast within herself, a palpable heaviness tinged with excitement. Jenna's email loomed large in her mind as she prepared for their meeting. On one hand, the prospect of collaboration offered a fleeting chance to prove her mettle; on the other, it felt like stepping into the lioness den. She spent the next hour pacing the small confines of her cubicle, reviewing every detail of her presentation once more. The anxiety was methodical, but so was her determination. This could be a chance to share more of her vision with someone who had already challenged her, and perhaps also an opportunity to address points she had yet to fully explore. Minutes before their meeting, Sarah glanced around the office. Her colleagues were investing their energy into various tasks, and they appeared blissfully unaware of the internal deliberations consuming her. They didn't know the weight of each decision she was making, nor could they understand the transformative journey she was undertaking. Sarah felt isolated in her thoughts but simultaneously empowered by the insight that she was stepping beyond her old boundaries. The clock signaled the start of her meeting, and she smoothed her blouse again, a gesture that had become both habitual and reassuring. In a moment of startling clarity, she realized it was no longer just about defending her ideas against Jenna. It was an opportunity to reshape their future collaboration and establish her role as a skilled strategist. Jenna greeted her with a coy smile as they settled into the small meeting room. "I appreciated your presentation, Sarah. However, I think there are angles we could explore further." Sarah nodded, warmth blooming in her confidence. "Absolutely. I'm eager to hear your thoughts. In my mind, focusing on client engagement can also reveal potential trends we may capitalize on. What aspects specifically do you think need more clarity?" She steered her words toward collaboration, determined to position the conversation on solid ground. The discussion unfolded like a chess match. Jenna came from a place of experience, posing questions that grazed the edges of sabotage. Every time Sarah felt the heat of doubt rise, she countered with facts, articulating her ideas with clarity. The realization struck her that Jenna was not there to negate her but rather to push her. Her critiques were a form of respect, an acknowledgement of Sarah's potential. As they spoke, an unexpected synergy began to emerge. Sarah gained momentum, the rhythm of their dialogue transforming from adversarial to collaborative. Each of Jenna's pointed inquiries revealed the depth of Sarah's knowledge and the thoroughness of her research. With every point Sarah navigated gracefully, the intimidation of seniority started to dissipate. Jenna leaned back, her expression shifting subtly. I underestimated your perspective in the meeting. There's more insight here than I initially recognized." The acknowledgement sent a thrill through Sarah, igniting her belief in not only her ideas but also her place in this world. She wasn't merely an afterthought, she was a competitor, even among giants. As they wrapped up the meeting, Jenna proposed that they collaborate on implementing Sarah's vision further. Let us co-create something dynamic. I can help you refine your approach. Walking back to her desk, elation lingered in the air, but it was quickly overshadowed by the lingering question of what Jenna's true motives could be. Was this a genuine offer to partner, or was there still an element of self-interest buried in her motivations? Just as Sarah found herself doubting the sincerity of that moment, a sense of awareness prickled at the back of her mind. This transitioned her excitement into resolve. Whatever the undercurrents, Sarah had a chance to showcase her ideas on a larger stage. It was no longer only her proposal at play, it was her burgeoning reputation, her confidence in negotiating with those who were once her critics. And as she sat down, tapping away on her keyboard to outline her next steps, she could neither ignore the whispers of uncertainty nor deny the thrill of possibility. What would her partnership with Jenna unveil? The path ahead felt exhilarating yet treacherous. The time had come for Sarah to explore an opportunity she had once only dreamed about. But now, with newfound ambition pulsating through her, she was ready. The true challenge was upon her, and as it loomed closer, she felt an electrifying tide of readiness push her forward. How far would she go to solidify her standing and navigate the intricate dance of workplace relationships? Sarah settled at her desk, fingers poised over the keyboard but mind racing elsewhere. The meeting with Jenna had been a turning point, a reminder of her own latent potential. The thrill of recognition ignited her desire to delve deeper into her project. Yet, beneath that surge of enthusiasm lingered a shadow of doubt. Was she truly ready to take on the challenge that lay ahead? With a quick inhale, she forced herself to focus. She opened her project files, planning meticulous next steps. Sarah knew that collaboration with Jenna could yield valuable insights, but it also required her to be vulnerable in ways she hadn't anticipated. What if she shared too much? What if the sanctity of her vision was compromised? Each question felt like a weight on her shoulders, pushing her toward a decision. Weeks had passed since their initial meeting, and with every passing day, Sarah felt more like a player in a game built on risk and strategy. She was learning to navigate the dynamics of their collaboration, and Jenna had become a catalyst for her growth rather than a barrier. Armed with feedback and insights from their discussions, Sarah began to see the once unclear roadmap of her project blossom into a clearer vision. Yet, collaboration was not merely about sharing ideas, it was about relinquishing control. That realization gnawed at her. Did she trust Jenna enough to let her influence the outcome? Sarah glanced around the office. Colleagues juggled their responsibilities, blissfully unaware of her internal battle. She envied their certainty, the seamlessness with which they pursued their paths. She imagined how their journeys must feel safe, untroubled. That thought sent a wave of determination through her. Wasn't this the real test? To confront her fear of losing creative control while inviting someone else to elevate her vision? Sarah took a deep breath and opened a new document. She began drafting notes for their next strategy meeting, focusing on aspects she felt strongly about. Passion must be visible in every word, but so must strategy. As ideas flowed, so did a quiet resolve. She began structuring points that showcased her unique perspective while preparing counterarguments to potential critiques Jenna might pose. This was about asserting her identity beyond the confines of just being the assistant. She was entitled to be a leader. With newfound clarity, Sarah decided to propose a brainstorm session, inviting Jenna to explore their ideas in an open forum. She drafted an email, embedding her thoughts into a proposal that requested not just feedback, but active participation. Before hitting send, she hesitated. The email felt aggressive, as though she were taking too much initiative. Was she challenging Jenna directly? Would this come across as presumptuous? In an effort to quell her doubts, she reframed her thoughts. This wasn't about Jenna, it was about her. Finally, with a surge of courage, she hit send. The action set off a ripple of uncertainty, leaving her heart pounding in her chest. Was she ready for whatever response might come her way? A few hours later, the reply glimmered in her inbox. I love this direction, Sarah. Let us discuss this further. When are you free? Her heart swelled. There it was, the connection and collaboration she had sought. Yet, doubt crept back in. What would happen if Jenna's enthusiasm faded? What if they clashed during their brainstorm? She quickly bolstered her resolve, determined that she wouldn't let fear restrict her ambition. The upcoming meeting loomed large, but instead of anxiety, Sarah felt a stirring of excitement. In that moment, she recognized the stakes raised not only for her project but for herself as an emerging professional. How could this collaboration shift her trajectory within the company? Would it uncover skills she had yet to awaken? As she prepared for their next encounter, the stakes felt higher than ever. The anticipation underlined something chillingly evasive. What if this partnership with Jenna didn't lead to validation but exposed deeper vulnerabilities? Confidently, Sarah replied to Jenna, suggesting a time to meet that injected a sense of urgency. Every moment leading up to their discussion was thick with potential. Could this be the moment where she truly tapped into her hidden resources and stepped decisively into her own narrative? The answer awaited them both. The room felt charged as Sarah paced before Jenna, the noon sun filtering through the blinds and casting angular shadows on the floor. Today was about more than just discussing their ideas. It was an opportunity to assert herself in a way she had never done before. The stakes weren't just her project anymore. They represented a break from her former self, a timid assistant uncertain of her voice. When Jenna arrived, buoyant with enthusiasm, Sarah could sense the energy shift. Jenna's positivity was infectious yet intimidating, amplifying Sarah's insecurities. Would her vision stand under scrutiny? The familiar tightness in her chest returned, but she forced it down. It was time to show up not just as a contributor, but as someone whose ideas warranted respect. They settled into the conference room, its whiteboard gleaming with the potential of new thoughts. Sarah glanced at her notes, a dense web of ambition and strategy, already beginning to feel like an anchor. She chose to focus on their collaborative goal rather than her insecurities. I really believe that by blending our insights, we can create something transformative. Let us make this a platform for innovation. Jenna leaned in, her eyebrows raised. Absolutely, I'm excited for where this can go. Let us flip through your suggestions. As they discussed, Sarah carefully guided the conversation, encouraging Jenna's input while staying rooted in her vision. The moments when Jenna responded thoughtfully to her points were exhilarating. They validated her work. Yet, an undercurrent of fear persisted. What if Jenna disagreed? What if the vibrant ideas they created together collapsed under the weight of criticism? Let us create a timeline, Jenna suggested, electrified by Sarah's plans. The collaboration was blossoming in unexpected ways, but Sarah was acutely aware that this dynamic came with its own risk. What if Jenna's assertive style overshadowed her contributions? The tension simmered in her mind even as she pushed forward, recalibrating her approach. Sarah started framing discussions around shared ownership of ideas, aiming to dismantle any notion that one voice would eclipse another. What if we divide the tasks according to our strengths? That way, we can start executing faster. The more she spoke with conviction, the more Jenna responded positively. It felt as though they were two musicians in a duet, improvising and amplifying each other's melodies. With every idea exchanged, Sarah found rhythm in her once quiet voice. The meeting deepened her self-awareness, illuminating the foundation of her fears while simultaneously casting light on her capacity for growth. She was capable of this collaboration, perhaps even destined for more, but with every twist of excitement, a nagging doubt resurfaced. Would Jenna see her emerging confidence as a challenge? As they wrapped up their session, Sarah sensed a fragile undercurrent develop. Jenna smiled, offering praise and ideas for follow-up. I'm so excited about where this is heading. We're going to change the narrative on this project. Thank you, Sarah replied, buoyed by the moment but unsure of her next steps. She wanted to sustain this energy but feared the effort it would require. Stepping back into her daily routine suddenly felt daunting, as if the bubble of collaboration would burst upon re-entering her regular environment. As she returned to her desk, exhilaration mixed with apprehension. This experience had tapped into something deeper, a well of ambition she had only begun to explore. But with this newfound courage came the uncertainty of maintaining it amidst the routines and structures of office life. Then, as if her thoughts had summoned it, an urgent email from the upper management popped into her inbox. We need to discuss updates on all upcoming projects. Presentations begin next week. The ground shifted beneath her, a new arena, a new stage. How would she rise to the challenge of sharing her vision? Would this be the moment she finally took center stage, or would she retreat into the shadows once again? The crossroads stood before her, pulsing with opportunity and the weight of fear, just as a spotlight beckoned her forward. Sarah's heart raced. The moment was upon her, and she was left wondering whether she had the strength to seize it. The days that followed were a kaleidoscope of preparation and anticipation. Sarah's heart thrummed with purpose as she structured her presentation, the culmination of her hard-earned insights and collaborative breakthroughs. No longer was she just the receptionist caught in a whirlwind of monotonous tasks. She was stepping boldly into her identity as an emerging leader, ready to showcase her capabilities. So the morning of the big presentation drew near, and anxiety mingled with excitement. Sarah arrived at the office early, her gaze locked on the bustling environment around her, each colleague absorbed in their own challenges and ambitions, yet somehow, she felt part of a larger narrative that was finally coming together. As she sat at her desk, reviewing her notes one last time, a familiar face approached. It was Mr. Thompson, his demeanor radiating an air of assurance. "Sarah, you've made incredible progress since we last spoke. I have every confidence in your presentation today. Your insight and dedication have transformed this project," he affirmed. His words ignited a spark of conviction within her. Sarah realized that the time for doubt was past. She had worked too hard to let uncertainty undermine her purpose. Embracing her strengths and accomplishments was the key to asserting her position, not only among her peers but within herself. When the time came, Sarah strode into the conference room with a confidence she hadn't known she possessed. The atmosphere buzzed, filled with curious eyes and expectant ears. She took a deep breath, feeling the familiar rush of adrenaline that had accompanied her every step in the past few weeks. This time, however, it transformed into a powerful energy coursing through her veins. As she began her presentation, clarity enveloped her. Every word was delivered with intention, and the ideas flowed seamlessly. She combined structured visuals, thoughtful insights, and the collaborative elements stemming from her project with Jenna, demonstrating how their combined efforts could reshape their approach to client engagement. Instead of the flicker of skepticism she expected from the senior associates, there was engagement, nodding heads, and thoughtful expressions. For the first time, she felt their attention focused on her expertise, not merely as the receptionist who had slipped through unnoticed. Questions followed her presentation, critiques posed not as barriers but collaborative inquiries. Jenna distributed affirmations to Sarah's contributions, weaving in her own insights that complemented Sarah's vision. They had become allies, creating a ripple effect that reinforced their innovative approach and their positions at the helm. Finally, as the meeting concluded, Mr. Thompson stood to speak. "I want to commend Sarah on an exceptional presentation. Your diligence and ability to confront challenges showcased the growth we all strive to embody. This project has made significant strides because you chose to lead it." The applause that erupted felt like a tidal wave of acknowledgement, washing over her doubts and insecurities. In that moment, amid the accolades and respect from higher-ups, Sarah realized she had not only proven herself but had solidified her place as a vital contributor to the firm. The transformation she embarked on had come full circle. She was no longer just Sarah the receptionist, she was Sarah the strategist, a valued member of the team whose insights mattered. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah continued to navigate her new role with assurance, tackling challenges head-on while delving deeper into legal strategies. Mr. Thompson soon approached her again, offering her a formal promotion that she had once deemed impossible. She accepted, pride swelling within her. Reflecting back on her journey, her heart swelled with a deep satisfaction. She had conquered the very barriers that once loomed over her: self-doubt, invisibility, and hesitation. In turn, she transformed them into stepping stones that propelled her toward a destiny she had once only dared to dream. This chapter of her story closed not just with a newfound title but with a profound understanding of her worth. Sarah stood tall, ready to embrace her future, knowing she had truly achieved personal growth and professional recognition. Now, it's your turn to ignite your transformation. You need to subscribe now to uncover more stunning stories of personal overcoming, ensuring you never miss out on exclusive content. Leave a like now to show your support and boost our community. Comment below with your thoughts. What challenges have you faced and overcome? And for the thrill seekers in your life, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who could use a dose of inspiration. Don't wait even one more second to be part of this journey with us.